Because you're chosen.
And you're powerful.
Give yourself permission to fully be here right now in your body.
How many lifetimes did you decide to live with me?
A lot. I feel like we're gonna go forward even more. Like, I feel like you're such a blessing in my life. Like, just amazing what you've done.
And what's happening now?
And I had told my husband, like, literally, like, it was like the woman that was bleeding, right? Going back to scripture, how she just had to touch Jesus's cloth, like robe, just something of his, to know that she was healed. And I just felt, I used that reference with Tahira, because for some reason my spirit was like, if you could just get close to her, just get next to her, you know, I will have clarity. So I really appreciate you. And I didn't expect this to happen. Like, honestly, and so quick too.
Like, I'm all about expanding the thought, right? Because, like, what I've come to find is, where do these things originate? It's from the beginning of time. Where does it come from? It comes from source. Even the evil comes from source. As I go back, but when the evil is with source, it's not evil. It's the separation that causes things to get dense, because source is all things.
What does that mean though when you say dense?
Dense is like, I feel like it's pressurized. You know how like how being in a body is very dense. There's not a lot of room. Being outside of a body, in your light body, it's not dense. You can float around, you
So
can
it's
move around.
endless.
Yeah. Right. This is in this body is very dense. You know, you can't just move like with thoughts how you can outside of the body. So source is all things. When I go back and I'm like, where does this originate? A lot of these things originated even before the creation of time. And it's in the creation of time that keeps us in a karmic loop. There is no such thing as time. Everything was templated with source. Everything is part of the what I call the one Akashic soul. And it's all in the template. And now it's how you express the template. And so when we look at the Anunnaki,
They taught us language.
they taught us the separation.
And I think that's who created the different languages and races.
Well, we were all different races. The thing is, Anunnaki are different extraterrestrial races, and we are seeded from their DNA.
So we're watered down versions of them.
We are. Let us make man in our own image, right? So there are multiple different versions of us, or multiple different extraterrestrial, DNA, but the Anunnaki are only the facilitators of this more denser energy of source.
Yeah.
It's not that they did not have access to both, but they chose to. So you looking at a template, right? And a template has genes in there and codes, right? Source codes. They gravitated more towards the codes of the more dense, the more like darker.
Mm-hmm.
So when they use those to express, when you don't express from the balance of source of light and of dark, then the only thing you can truly birth is something that will follow the code of its own creation, which is more denseness.
Mm-hmm.
So human beings don't want to be as dense or evil, as dark as they are, but it's in literally our genes.
Because of the Anunnakis?
Yeah, because of how our genes were split and created out of only one part of source. We were not created out of the totality. When they took the source equation, they took a small portion, which was the part that would be more dense. So now that's what they had to work with. They had still powers from being in like in the cosmos, but the essence of the genes that they started to manipulate was not of the full expression of source. So that's what you get.
Do you think they're the full expression of source?
No. There's a full expression of source which can never be expressed, because once it is expressed, it loses its potency.
Its potency?
There is a part of source that can never be expressed, because once you express it, you remove it from the collective template, and now you isolate that and it loses its potency. So source, there is a part of source that
brain fart, but keep going.
Yeah, there's a part of source that will always be unexpressed, and this is what we call the void, the dark void.
I experienced
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah.
for a minute when I was on shrooms and I was laying next to Anthony, and I told him, he told me that's blasphemous, but I told him I was God.
Yeah.
And I saw what it felt like to be God. And I saw all of my creations. And then I just became myself as God. And I was just nothing. And it felt good.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. But let me pop back in there. Like it was that feeling of like, let me pop back in there and go back to being something.
Right. Yeah.
Because
the nothingness feels amazing, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's not really nothing. It knows everything all at once.
Yeah.
So I literally knew numbers and colors, and I knew everything, and I can't tell you what I knew, but I knew it.
But to your point, if you chose to now express one part of that, then you would now materialize into somethingness and lose the potency of the all that you were in.
That I don't understand.
Yeah, so what I mean is, when I was saying there's a part of source that cannot be expressed, otherwise it loses its potency, because anytime you separate one part of source from itself, it creates something that is lesser, because it's not the whole anymore. So as if you're experiencing yourself as God, and then you're like, well, let me pop back in and be something. That means you have to choose something to be, but you will lose the potency of the all that you were just experiencing.
That's the thing. It's like you either can choose to know everything and be nothing.
And be nothing but everything.
Or you can choose to know nothing and experience everything. And just, I get goosebumps because it does make sense. Because it's like, that's what the whole Akashic Records thing was everybody was expressing what they were feeling, seeing, sensing, and then it gets downloaded into that record place, and then that all-knowing thing is able to access it and go into that person's experience and experience it. Do you know what I mean? So if God wants to know what it's like to be a dog or a cat or a human, he has to go in there and just be like, okay.
Yeah. But here's the tricky part, because you are God. Because when that one thing is expressed,
this is God.
Then it is you seeing, right,
and using my avatar.
Because of the singularity, because of the template is always to be whole. So source cannot use itself to separate itself, because then it now becomes a fallen angel or God, just as we are. We are all fallen gods, because we are separated from the the full potentiality of the source equation.
But we all return to source.
Exactly, because that's where we came
What
from.
if some don't return to source?
You will always end up returning to source at some point. You know, you might, I have an unpopular opinion. People say energy cannot be created or be destroyed. Well, I have an unpopular opinion because I believe that it can.
Oh.
But it doesn't get destroyed in a way where it does not exist. It gets wiped. The memory can get wiped where the energy field can now be cleansed and ready for the next person who's willing to step in and carry that energy to its full potential. So that when we're stepping to purpose, right? If someone refuses to do their purpose and then like I come in and I say, source, I will do it, right? So guess what? That person will get wiped away from that. Their soul contract will get dissolved. That's energy. That template is clearing. It's making space for me to now imprint myself. So then that's what I kind of mean with the energy. There is a certain level of destruction of it, but or we can call it transmutation, or just clearing or wiping.
Transfer from
like a transference, right? So this is yeah, it gets deep. But the time before the times, like the Anunnaki we give them too much credit. They're only a small part of the story on how we became split to have this experience. But what about the experience we were having prior to that?
What was
Prior to that was the infinite all, where there was no timekeeper.
What about Atlantis, the story of Atlantis?
Yeah, these were all.
Were these before or after, you think, like the Noah flood? And that's the thing. It's like, how do we know?
I can't
know the timelines of things
because there is no timeline. That's the thing. There is no timeline, and that's another thing the Anunnaki brought. We got to understand. They brought time. The clock.
That's how they control.
That's how they control the energy. They keep this thing called time. And what this time, if you look at a clock, like I always say, there's 12 numbers representing the 12 disciples. And even though it's a circle, this is representing a karmic loop. People are on because they are attached to time, right? But the way out is the black dot in the middle. The black dot, if you notice in the middle, controls the hands of time. That is number 13, which is the Christ. So the way out is always the Christ energy, the Christ light, which is enlightenment, which is a lot of people confuse the Illuminati. The Illuminati and all the teachings is about becoming an enlightened being. In every organization, there's dark people and light people. But when you strip it down, it's all to become an enlightened one, which you cannot become enlightened unless you literally understand the Christ consciousness, which is the way out of creation, because we actually transcend creation because we are the creator. So if you are part of creation, then you are not acting as the creator. You are co-creator, but we are actually creator. I know it's very convoluted.
Oh, I know it's gonna take time.
It's just awareness.
Because I'll literally sit here and know everything you're saying, but it's just random. It'll come to me, and then sometimes I'll write it down and I'll understand everything that I wrote. Then I'll leave what I wrote. Then I'll come back the next day and read it, and I'm like, huh? What was I talking about?
Yeah.
What did I mean by that? I knew at that moment what I meant, but now I don't know.
Yeah.
What is that?
Because, you got to understand you're the main character in life, right? There are forces. There's always going to be that force that does not want us to come into these deep knowings. And they're going to do everything. And I experience it. Do you know how many times they shut my technology down? And I mean, it's like I have this ongoing war with them. They'll be shutting my computers down in sessions, causing lights to turn off because they want to force me to give up, when you are the main character. And literally life is being experienced through us main characters, But the Anunnaki, they created the time. There is no time. So when we look at the Atlantis and Lemuria, yes, these are all time periods, but they are spaces that actually exist within us as well. Just as Egypt is inside of you, in all of these holy places. Yes, there's always as above, so below, as without, so within. There's always going to be a physical location. But when we strip it down, it's in the template of you. So you can bring back Atlantis, you can bring back Lemuria, and we are doing that work right now.
By what?
By all the healing work and all the realizations that we're actually bringing this back. And the more we push away from their code, right, the more we gain back. We got to get back to the DNA. That's why DNA matters. It matters. The source, going back to becoming one again, because our DNA was never to be fragmented. So you have certain codes. It's different than my codes, different from other nationality codes, but
So that's how they were able to separate us.
Yeah.
We're not able to have telepathic
Mhm.
communication anymore.
But it's when we mix back together.
Is that the tree of knowledge of good and evil? Like, is that where we connected? It was like a tree that connected us.
That's the DNA. That's the ancestry. If you look at the ancestral tree, that's the tree of knowledge, which is basically the different strands of DNA that just connect, and it transcends time because it goes back to infinite, and it'll take you back to the original template, which is a combination of good and evil unexpressed. So in truth, in order to truly, truly, truly be with God, you have to be unexpressed. You have to become nothing. That's the true going home. Is this?
Yeah, and that's why when people do things like ayahuasca, they're like, I was stripped of my ego, my life.
Yeah.
The walls vanished right in front of my eyes. The whole world that I knew vanished, and I was just in nothingness.
Mm-hmm.
And then boom, then other things happened, but it was like a moment of peace.
Yeah.
Where they all claim the same thing.
Yeah.
I felt that peace at first. I was like, what's going on? And then all of a sudden I was like, it felt like outer space and the darkness, like a endless space of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just observing from a different place.
Yeah.
And I've experienced that. I've experienced watching my story from a different perspective, a higher perspective. And I was like, oh God, I get to play that character.
Yeah.
I got to watch my love story with my husband and everything. And I was just like, oh my God. But I legit felt like I was watching from another planet almost. Like I was observing through these human eyes everything that I was looking at. And I was sending back information to whatever was controlling me. If I felt it at that very moment, I felt it and it was real. Literally was so real that it was to the point where I was like, girl, you're starting to trip balls right now. What the fuck is this shit?
Well, because there's multiple versions of ourselves. And so you're carrying information back to the infinite versions of yourself that are experiencing on different timelines. Because there's the convergence right now and all the timelines are kind of collapsed. So this kind of information can kind of come out, to the forefront. And but we got to get past the Anunnaki because
it's probably not even that significant.
It's not significant. They are just in the way. We got to go back to the original template of source where there was no separation of anything, back to oneness, because there were.
That means nothing will exist anymore, right?
You will always exist, but you will not experience the denseness. Because this is a lie.
We got so used to this. We're like,
it's a lie.
It doesn't exist, then we're nothing.
Yeah.
So is it the lower frequency that is making us think that we need to be this. And that's why we're trapped and we keep incarnating and coming back as
because it's their code. When they tinkered around, this is why people keep getting reincarnated, because it's in your code to do that. So it's in that time that they created. It's in that loop, the karma and stuff.
But I don't believe that everybody is going to be incarnated and come back. I think some people figure it out.
Yeah, they do, but I'm saying it's in the code. This is why, but a lot of us are realizing that now. Once you bring awareness to something, that is what begins the healing of it. It's just having the awareness. How?
Because we're connected here to people, characters.
But we'll always be connected, but these are not real characters. They're just parts of yourself.
I know, and I felt it that one time. Remember I told you I was laying in bed and I felt like 7 like entities standing over me by my bed, and they felt like my family.
Yeah.
And it scared the shit out of me.
That's your cosmic family.
At that very moment, I saw the people that I've been living with all my life as like, I don't know, like characters and avatars.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, don't tell me that. Like, it was like a knowing of, we're so proud of you. Oh my God, like, we're so proud of you. We love you so much. And it was a feeling of love that I can't even express in human form.
Right.
At that very moment, I felt my family was watching over me, and they pop in all the time. I'm not aware of it. And they're always with me. It's like, I don't know why the number 7 sticks out, but it felt like there was 7 people standing around the bed. And I was just like, there was one in particular that was a feminine energy, and it felt like my real mother or somebody like, significant. And it was a feminine energy.
It's very interesting. Maybe it was the 7 sisters. Maybe that's our group. Maybe we're your cosmic family. Yeah, we're 7. And Lee is actually my mother. We found out, like, she came to me, like her other form came to me, was standing in my bedroom. I woke up. Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. No, I'm just like, it's a lot. It really is a lot, but I think that humanity has reached a level where we're ready. And we can't worry about the ones that are not awakened, because they were never to awaken in this timeline, because they're not the main characters. They're only here to add complexity to the game, So, yeah.
Purpose of the chosen ones, DNA has started spiritual evolution. This is what I wrote in October.
Read it.
Of 2023. Yeah, that was what, a couple months ago. It says more senses are rapidly being formed. This was me just, I don't know where this came from, because I don't know these things. I'm telling you, I don't know. They just come to me randomly.
You do know.
I do, but I don't. Like me, the body doesn't know. The spirit in me sometimes pops in. She knows. DNA structures are heightened. And the reason, planetary shifts are affecting many people. Things they can't explain or understand. These shifts change vibrations of certain people, and the powers of the world don't like it at all. Sudden meetings with world leaders take place about how to keep society under control of their greed. So they all start developing DNA altering formulas to suppress these higher dimension levels in people's awareness. The more they can convince us to take these formulas, the more they can suppress our awakening. So they tell us we're all in danger, and if we don't take this so-called life-saving drug or whatever, then a lot of us will die. Worked on many, it's worked on many, but some were skeptical. So the next tactic was taking away our freedom. If we didn't take it, we couldn't travel or work or even buy food at a grocery store. many more of us went to take it. This is basically about the vaccine.
Mm,
Some still wouldn't budge and take it, but many did, and that wasn't good enough because a lot of us already started the shift. The suppression didn't work on all of us. We're waking up to help save humanity. Remind them who we all are and be prepared for the return of the collective consciousness and continue our journey of helping awaken the rest before it's too late. Higher dimension is waiting. We will all make it there. Or wait, what? Higher dimension is waiting. Will we all make it there? Highly unlikely.
wow.
That's what I put. I don't know why. But the chosen ones are living a dual reality. Like what I saw today with Anthony looking like I saw
Yeah.
two of him or something.
Mm-hmm.
And our universe depends on us. Why does our universe depend on us? I still don't understand. How does a whole world of people wake up and realize we're one? Heaven on earth awaits us all.
Mm-hmm.
Creating the frequency that's needed for all to awaken. Chosen ones create sound frequencies that play out loud like trumpets. These frequencies are heard all around the world. Each corner of earth will hear it. I think that's the frequencies like you. Oh my God, I'm getting goosebumps. Sometimes I get goosebumps off of my own shit.
And well, it talks about that the trumpets will sound, right, in the Bible as well. And that's the new frequency that I've been talking about. The new frequency is how we bring heaven on earth.
Let's hear it. But not everybody hear it.
No. Some of us can hear it, some of us can feel it. Yeah. Not everyone will hear it, but
oh, look what it says next. And I can't believe I wrote this. I still don't know why. It says each corner of earth will hear it. World leaders will drown it out with more fear frequencies. So something's going on. They are putting something in the atmosphere. I think that's what we're feeling. Like something right, and we're like dizzy and shit. Bad news, poisoned food, dead water, and wars. Hard to get humanity's attention about heaven when they're living in hell every day. Trying to just survive. The more we awaken, the more we figure out how to awaken the rest. We can't give up. That's what it says.
Yeah, we can't.
All right, you tell. I wrote this at 2:05 a.m. and I think I shared it with you on October 26th.
Yeah. And it's what you were saying, it's all DNA. And that's why I've been spending such a great deal, the clients, especially coming the past few months. It's all about getting to the DNA because everything's multidimensional. If I heal this person's DNA, it should actually heal their fathers, mothers, and all of that because the people who share the same code. It's the only way. We have to heal multidimensionally.
That's true because the spirits out there are waiting for us to get it right. They're like, oh man, I didn't get it right. Hopefully
And it's all DNA because what happened with the Anunnaki? That's what they were doing, tinkering around with the DNA. And so that's what has to be healed. You update that DNA, you update your source codes. You know what I mean? To getting back to the original template, which is source, which is nirvana, which is heaven. All of this exists as a collective. It's the separatism when you break it away that creates the problem. That's an experiment. There's only source within the wholeness.
So I even wrote this shit too in October 14th. At 4:46 a.m. Who was I at that time? What was I doing? I don't know.
You're channeling.
I was it's like you're sleepwalking and you don't remember doing shit. That's what happens to me. I do remember, but I don't remember exactly what I said. I don't even go back and read it too much. Like I might read it once after. And maybe I'll share it with you because I'm like, girl, look what I wrote. But like even now looking at it, I'm like, damn, that's just crazy that I keep trying to. My spirit is trying to wake me up and reminding me, girl, hello, we're trying to talk to you.
Yeah.
We're sending you all the messages, the 111, the 222, bitch. Shit like that. Your friends are calling you and telling you. Everybody you know from your past that used to be fucking dickheads are even changing, right? It's time.
It's time.
Because you're gonna miss out on a big opportunity.
Yeah. Well, it's the calling, answering the call. And that's the thing, like a lot of us don't answer the call because of what it looks like. But you got to understand what it looks like to the NPCs. Yeah. They're not even real anyway. So why are we even caring about what it looks like to them?
Yeah. Hold on,
and
my mom is calling. I think she wants, you know, we have